I promise. This is an Emmanuel Forbes free zone. Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the June 16th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since '92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Yeah, even I can only take so much of myself, and I've been dining a little high on the hog on my Emmanuel Forbes score. I mean, after all, the guy might end up being a bust in the fall, but, just because I felt like I saw it coming, I felt like I can talk about it all I want. Well, today and tomorrow, we're not on the air tomorrow, is Emmanuel Forbes free. I am not going to talk about Emmanuel Forbes. I'll let you guys stroke my ego about Emmanuel Forbes, but I won't talk about Emmanuel Forbes. So, not a lot of breaking news. Rams are in Maui and everything. And I was just, looking for something different. So we're going to look at a couple of different things today. And we're going to talk about football previews, Jordan Rodriguez. We're going to talk about left tackles that could be on the market since there could be an issue here with Alaric Jackson that we don't know about. We're going to look at the NFC West, and that's pretty much it. It's not going to be a long show. You guys might make it longer than I do. USA expat, aloha. Yeah, I wish I was there. Maybe you're there. Are you there, USA expat? Good for you. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. How are you feeling? I'm feeling fine. I'm doing good. My friend's in a better place, and I'm doing good. Hey, just before we get into all this stuff, well, we could just get into all this stuff right now. I'm in the supermarket the other day, right? And because I do 90% of my work from home, a lot of the shopping and different things fall on my plate. So I'm in the store, and I'm walking by the magazine rack, which is super small these days. And what do I see? I see the Lindy's Sports Football Preview. I used to kill for anything in terms of a football preview. When the football preview came out, it was great. I think when we were really young, or I was really young, Street and Smith was the gold standard. And then there was another magazine called Pro Quarterback for a while. And sometimes when the season ended, you wanted the Pro Log, which reviewed the previous season and stuff. And you look at these things and they come out like, I really think they hit publication like right after the draft. And so some of the stuff in here is dated. Like you're not going to have, the sighting of David Quisenberry or DJ Humphries in here, obviously. And the other thing is that these things are compromised now because we used to wait for information. I remember on some of these magazines, that became the roster I deferred to and kept, on my desk or nearby the whole season because who's on the Rams roster. We didn't have the ability to pick up our phone and just check out to see who's on the roster. When we wanted to hear transactions, either it was breaking on Sports Talk, which was only from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., or you had to pick up the newspaper the next day, which was a glorious time I won't get into. So the information you get in here it's okay, but it's nothing like, now look at the size of this. It's nothing like pro football for the serious fan. Look at that, right? This broadsheet here. This stuff was the best. I think this is the Don Heinrich one. Don Heinrich played quarterback in the NFL in the late 50s. And, of course, this is the Jim Everett era. I save important magazines. Yeah, it's even got a Marlboro thing there. But if you ever read these things were critical. They would talk about corners losing a step. They would talk about age on a player turning 30. These weren't just KBM, kiss butt type stuff. These things were highly inspective, critical, and not so, the word I'm going to use again today in a second here is effusive. But these were great magazines. And I pity if anybody's younger than me that didn't get their hands on it. In fact, I used to have a running battle with Mid-Valley Sports photographer Dwayne Barker, co-owner there, back in the 80s before we got married and life changed. He would call me up, and he'd call me up out of the blue, and he'd say, hey, man, dude, what does Tim Brown and Jim Everett have in common? And then I would kind of curse him in a pastel manner, saying, oh, you punk, you got the magazine before I did. And he would give me a hard time. But I miss those days. I don't really look at previews anymore. You know, sometimes I'll grab one if I think I'm going to be stuck somewhere. But remembering the day of the football preview was everything, right? Was everything. And if you didn't get a chance to see the Pro Football Annual for the Serious Fan by Don Heinrich, or Dick Vitale's Basketball for the Serious Fan, or Bill Mazeroski's Football or Baseball for the Serious Fan, you really missed out on a lot of stuff. If you still got them, go and check and see how those things are written compared to how things are written today. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. USA Expat. It might be a possibility Forbes balls out in the first preseason game and McVay and Shula decide no more preseason games. They've seen enough. All right. Thank you, USA Expat. You said it, not me. All right. Still in Costa Rica. Hey, do you get serious humidity down there? Because it's kind of warm here in LA, and there's like humidity, and usually we're pretty much a dry heat. Steve Ramirez, that's how I got the schedules in the 70s. Oh, yeah, for sure. USA Expat, lousy mag cover. Stafford should be more enlarged. I agree. And then Manny Vasquez, great magazine. Okay, so you remember him. Good for you guys. All right. Hey, anytime you guys want to bail out today, I know we got a championship game or a game 5 going on. And I really think between Indy and Oklahoma City, whoever wins this game tonight is going to win the series. That's just where I throw it. I'm glad I'm doing it now, because Steeler fan Rob the entire weekend kept telling me scores of games I was recording, and he came this close to getting banned for life, but I showed grace. All right, speaking of writing and publications, a lot of folks defer to Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic. And I'll say it, Jordan Rodriguez is really good, really good. She's as close to being an oracle on Rams football in the present day as one could get. Maybe I don't agree with every opinion, but she never says anything stupid, as is with the case of the majority of the KBM. I mean, Colin Cowherd says dumb stuff. Jason McIntyre says dumb stuff. ESPN is the epitome of dumb stuff, but she's really good. So as I put that up front, I know this is going to be misinterpreted, okay? To this point, I don't know where she goes in 2 years, but right now I like everything about Jordan Rodriguez. I just don't subscribe to The Athletic, but I pick her up at different podcasts, secondhand shares of some of her articles and stuff. So I like everything about her. But I have to ask this, okay? I have to ask this. As I've established, I like Jordan Rodriguez. If you've ever heard, or have you heard any of the guys that interview her at different times, different podcasts, different interviews, even when she was doing her show, was it with Rich Hammond? I'm trying to remember who she was doing it with. And they would do live callers. I always got this thing that it seemed like everybody was going out of their way to really smooch her keister, so to speak, right? Can you interpret that? Kiss her butt. And I don't think she was asking for that. I don't think she's anything like a victim or anything that you'd see. You know, she's more talented than anything at ESPN. But I believe, because all I hear is, oh, Jordan, you're so great. Jordan, you're so this. Jordan, she's not asking for it. But these guys, it's like, I got to let everyone know. They're so effusive in their compliments of her. I believe actually, in some sense, they're disrespecting her. They're trying so hard to show they're not anti-woman in sports that they're ignoring the very product she's producing. And I think they do. I think they want to be seen as open and welcoming and stuff. And she should be welcome. She's really good. But if someone sucks, they suck. And I'm just curious, has anybody noticed this? I noticed that when people calling in, it's like, hey, where's your question? No, oh, Jordan, you're so great. Jordan, you're so great. Jordan's the best. She's taken Vin Scully's place in some people's minds as the fourth person in the Trinity. And I say it again for the third time. My problem's not with Jordan Rodriguez. I think she's great. But every time she's interviewed, it's almost like she has to go through a layer of this KBM butt kissing stuff. It's like, hey, just get to the questions. Just ask me. Just treat me like anybody else. Hardly I'm the most sensitive guy on these kind of issues because we know how the world works, right? There's a reason Lisa Guerrero was hired as a sideline reporter, right? There was. We all know that. And there's a reason Jane Kennedy replaced Phyllis George, and there's a reason Phyllis George was there. And so we see all that stuff. Not all the time, but we see that stuff. Jordan Rodriguez is full talent. She's all talent. I haven't seen anything, but I just can't stand the schmoozing. It just makes me sick. Have any of you ever noticed that? Am I barking up the wrong tree? I'm just curious. USA X-Pac, she is number one in my book. Manuel Vasquez, I've noticed the treatment she's gotten. I think they're just trying to be politically correct and not saying that anything that may come back on them. USA Expert versus Mina Kimes, who I never listened to. Now, Mina Kimes strikes me as someone who wants that praise. Jordan Rodriguez doesn't, right? Does she come across in any way, shape, or form as lacking confidence and needing affirmation? Not to me, she doesn't. And that's why I think you're correct there, Manny, is that they're so terrified, which means they're kind of wusses, right? They're so terrified, right? And of course, there's always the boss. There's always somebody out there that's going to turn down the dial on you or pull the plug if you don't say the right thing, although we see that loosening up a little bit. But no, I was just curious because I think we all respect Jordan Rodriguez, but how about we respect the work she does and not put 10 layers of pedantic, over-the-top garbage on everything that's like, you know what? No, we know you're good. Let's just get down to business. All right, moving it on here. Keep throwing it up there. If I'm a misogynist, if I'm an ogre, if I'm a doofus, I'll happily take it. But that's why I prefaced it 3 times that I like her. Number 3, as of right now, the Rams have 4 picks in next year's draft in the top 100. 2 number 2s, a number 2. No, I'm sorry, 2 number 1s, a number 2, and a number 3. That'll put you inside the top 100. That's the first 96 picks. Then they have 2 5s, 2 6s, and 2 7s. That's what they're projecting right now. I haven't double checked to see if that has anything to do with projected compensatory picks or not. But the Alaric Jackson thing, that just, seeing as how, I don't care what anybody says, Witt retired after the Super Bowl. The Rams extended Joe Noteboom 3 years, roughly $40 million, I think it was. Whitworth put his thumb of approval on Noteboom. Everybody liked Noteboom. The Rams wouldn't have extended Noteboom if they didn't like him. And so we were feeling really optimistic about how Noteboom played in that postseason, filling in at different times during the year for Whitworth. And then, of course, we know what happened. And so we just extended Alaric Jackson, right? We just extended him. The Rams drafted Noteboom. They developed him. He was the guy. Rams signed Alaric Jackson, developed him. He's played 2 great, solid years, got that second contract, and now blood clots. And blood clots are funny things, man. Blood clots are seriously, not funny, haha, but funny. We don't know how you deal with them. And really, even though before the blood clot issues broke, I loved the signing of DJ Humphries as a backup. I think it's great. I like the Quisenberry signing. Great. I didn't want to go into a season with just Warren McClendon at right tackle and A.J. Arcuri at left tackle. But now with the news breaking on Alaric Jackson and blood clots, because they're, I don't want to say funny now, I'm going to say tricky things, potentially uber dangerous. I'm sorry. I don't think I like DJ Humphries as a backup for 2 or 3 games. I don't know if I like DJ Humphries playing 8 or 10 games as a starting left tackle. And so I was looking at who are the free agent left tackles projected to be free agents in 2026. 4 main guys popped up, and I'm just curious how it would play. And I'm wondering, and I'll take correction here, I didn't see anything, but if some of these guys have already been extended, let me know. Right now, Rashawn Slater technically is in his final year of his contract, unless he's been upgraded somewhere. Has he been extended along the way? I haven't read it. Let me know. I'll take correction. Bolts are expected to have a good team. I don't expect the Bolts to be in fire sale mode by midseason, as much as we would want to see it happen. And then a guy that's under the radar for the Colts, not the Bolts, the Colts, is Bernard Rainman. He's their left tackle, and he's been pretty solid left tackle for a number of years now, about 4 years. He is going to be a free agent after this season. The Colts have Daniel Jones at quarterback. Nothing has really worked well for the Colts these last few years. Could there be a moment where they are in sell-off mode? Would the Rams be willing to give up maybe a second round or a third round pick for a left tackle? Because you don't want to see your season collapse, right? You don't want to see your season collapse if Alaric Jackson has to step away. And I know it's a terrible thing to say, but what if he has to step away? Do you really believe DJ Humphries is the guy in his 11th season? Do you really believe he's a guy, coming off major surgery after 2023, appearing in only 2 games last year? Do you really think he's a guy that's going to carry the weight for half a season or more into the fall? Would you be willing to give up a number 3 if the Colts season, a third rounder or a second rounder? Would you be willing to do that? Maybe for a rental, for a Bernhard Rainman, to come and close things out for us. Here's another name that popped up. Braxton Jones of the Bears, who takes his act out there every day. Now, the Bears are expected to be improved this year. The Bears are expected to compete in a strong NFC North, but that's a brutal NFC North. What if by midseason, and I haven't looked at the Bears' schedule yet, and I'd look at that, what if the Bears aren't where they're supposed to be? What if, heaven forbid, Caleb Williams gets hurt? What if they think, you know what? We need to make another move. Braxton Jones is going to be a free agent. Maybe we can move him before the deadline for another piece going into next year's draft. Braxton Jones. And then the other name, the fourth name that popped up, because I know they were talking about him. Correct me if he's been extended, and I don't think he has. Colton Miller with the Raiders. Colton Miller's a pretty elite left tackle when he's playing. Raiders, do they want to extend him? Now that they got some brains in the building, how much do you want to give a guy if you're not ready to make noise? I know Pete Carroll probably doesn't want to lose him, but are they going to break through this year? I don't think they're going to break through against the Chargers. I don't think they're going to break through against the Chiefs. They might pick off a win here or there, but are they going to break through and be a playoff contender? Could they move Colton Miller before signing him to a huge contract and maybe picking up a second-round pick? He'd be worth a second-round pick to come to the Rams, finish the season, chase a ring, and then let the chips fall. Right? Let the chips fall. The Rams gave up a second rounder and a third rounder for Von Miller. They won a ring. I would just hate to see the season collapse because of the uncertainty of Alaric Jackson. And I have faith in DJ Humphries as a backup for up to 5 games. I don't know if I want him to play that 6th. I don't know if I want him starting. I don't know if I want to be counting on him down the stretch. And so love to hear your thoughts on that. Let's see. Manny Correa, what's up? Steve Ramirez, Jordan was the woman reporter who Cam criticized for asking a football scheme question, then got fined. I believe it. If you're saying, I don't remember this. I know she worked with the Panthers, but she covered the Panthers. So she asked a football question, and Cam criticized her because that sounds like Cam Newton, right? World of talent, and that's all he relied on was his talent and his fashion sense. He never got better. You can see that coming a long way, right? I was never in the Cam Newton camp. Physically, oh yeah, but never was in the Cam Newton camp. Manny Vasquez, aside from that, Rodriguez has great insights and knows football. Absolutely. There's no dumb takes. Now, there's room to disagree, but there are no dumb takes from her. Let's see. Manny and USA are saying hi to each other. USA X-back, quarterback, offensive tackle, quarterback, offensive tackle, CB, wide receiver, top 4 picks next year. Could be. I do like Coward's speculation. Was it a month and a half ago? It's like, if Stafford gets through the year and he is exceptional again, he's not showing any signs of age, why don't you just work on putting more pieces around him, right? And maybe you do grab another receiver, another offensive lineman. Just be interesting to see how that plays out. This Alaric thing is really tricky. USA X-Pac, top needs versus top picks. Steve Ramirez, Raiders look like 8 and 9 at best. I think they'll be better. But yeah, I don't think they're going to break through at all. So could Colton Miller be on the market? Could he? Am I off base on this? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Brian Smith, Ramsey to the Raiders, please. Okay, there you go. I love to hear it because if there's a trade for any one of those 4 guys and any of this stuff plays out, I'm going to be as miserable to be around as I have been over that guy that the Rams signed from the Taxkins last year. All right, my name is Joe Terosian, a sports writer for 21 years. Still do it a little bit, contributing to Mid-Valley Sports. And I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And we just want to say thank you to them. I was with my wife, and everyone's gone. And so my wife and I were home, and so we kind of binged the Equalizer movies with Denzel Washington. I never would watch those movies. I'm just not into that stuff, right? But I watched it with my wife, and I noticed in the second Equalizer movie, and I don't know if Mr. Kistler is going to be watching today, but there's a scene where someone's going into a law office, and it says, in Boston, it says Kistler Law Firm. Yeah, that's what it said. I'm just throwing it out there. But we say thank you to Kistler Law for supporting us, and for you guys for supporting and clicking on, subscribing, hitting the like button, hitting the share button, and then, of course, buying my books. My books are on Amazon. You can check them out there. Get Game Day in the RamCave, Temple City and the Company of the Ages, and, of course, Tangent Dreams. Thank you for your support. Keep me employed in my day job at Burbank Faith. I pastor a small church, and you can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual, all across social media. Okay, also check us out on Spotify and iHeart. Actually, believe it or not, I've noticed a tiny bit of traction. So we're kind of happy about that. And we just thank you guys for being here with us. All right. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, are you going to watch Ohtani pitching tonight? Well, I can't watch Ohtani pitch because I am still blacked out from Dodger games. There you go. That's why I feel what I feel for the Dodgers. May they rot and lie stinking in the earth. Anyway, I hope the guy pitches well. He's a great story. Willie Bowen, LA Rams are going to dominate the NFC West. Horns up. I want that too. And speaking of the NFC West, we generally take a look at the NFC West every time we finish the Rams stuff. And I wanted to look at their schedules. Did you know the 49ers go to Seattle and open against the Seahawks? I love that opener. I think that's a great opener. I get the feeling when everyone's talking about how easy the 49ers schedule is. 49ers play the Rams twice, they play the Seahawks twice, and they play the Cardinals twice. That's not chump change, right? That's not chump change at all. And they play the Buccaneers. That's not chump change. They play the Texans. That's not chump change. And so, but I'm really anxious. Divisional opponent, week 1, an aggressive defense. They don't have that great edge guy, but they got some brutes there in the center of that line we were talking about with Leonard Williams, Jerron Reed, and of course young Byron Murphy. And if those guys step up, we're also looking at a 49er offensive line that has Trent Williams, extremely old, uncertainty at left guard, an average center in Jake Brendel, who's solid but not great, and a suspect guy at right tackle in Colton McKivitz. This game could blow up the entire 49ers season. If the Seahawks come out, they play hard for McDonald. Their bread and butter this year is going to be their defense. And if they come out and hammer the 49ers, what happens after that? 49ers then got to play the Saints. And then in week 3, they face the Cardinals. That's kind of interesting. They get 2 division opponents early on. They could be 1-2 before they face the Jaguars in week 4. Looking at the Cardinals, and beaten up, by the way. Looking at the Cardinals, they got a nice opener against the Saints. They got a nice game against the Panthers. And then the games that I'm underlining right after that, they got back-to-back against the 49ers and the Seahawks. And if the 49ers are a healthy team, I really see the Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals as 3 teams that are going to beat each other up. I think the Rams are that much better than those teams. Their time is not now. But the 49ers are going to have a division opponent 2 of the first 3 weeks. First one's on the road, and with their age. And could their season get blown out of the water early? Because Cardinals always play the 49ers tough. And the Cardinals and Seahawks are teams on the ascent. The 49ers are like Bucky and Ordinary People when his brother's telling him to hold on to the rope, right? He's hanging on in the storm. That's how the 49ers feel to me, because I can't get past their age. I might be completely wrong. By the time they face the Rams, they're undefeated or something. But do you see that? Can't you see that playing off incredibly in a very physical way, opening for the 49ers? Two of their first 3 games are against the Seahawks and the Cardinals, right? And here's what it goes for the Seahawks. They open with the 49ers. Now, I'm not here to be the KBM for Steeler fan Rob, who, if I go too much longer, will start telling me the score at halftime of the NBA championship game. But after hosting the 49ers, which would be a physical game, which I think they can win, then they got to go to Pittsburgh. That's going to be a physical game. Then they get the Saints, which I'm not high on the Saints, but then they get the Cardinals week 4, followed by the Buccaneers in week 5. There's a scenario there where the Seahawks could be 2-3, or at worst 1-4 after the first 5 weeks of the season. So, we talk about Rams schedule. We talk about how easy people assume the 49ers schedule going to be. We could be gaining a lot of favor here in terms of, as Ram fans, we can gain a lot of favor here in terms of how the season's going to start and how somewhat evenly matched the 49ers, Cardinals, and Seahawks are, right? But you got 2 teams on the ascent, and you got 1 team holding on for dear life. Let's see. Let's boom. MLB app has Dodgers in the market plan. I got the MLB ticket or whatever, and I'm always blocked out. I don't know what to say. Jesus 50. Warren McClendon will do fine at left. No, Jesus 50. Respect you. Glad you're here. But we saw Warren McClendon at left tackle. No bueno. Warren McClendon looks like a right tackle, right? And if you're right, Jesus 50, great. I hope you're right, and you come back and you stick it in my face. But I don't see Warren McClendon at left tackle. I see him as maybe becoming a competent guy at right tackle. Do I see him as the long-term solution after Havenstein? Not yet. Not yet. But no, I am worried about that. Yes, Ramirez, I am blocked out. Manuel Vasquez. 49ers have the easiest schedule in the NFL over the last 10 years and the 4th easiest over the last 25 years, but they'll choke in the playoffs and will enjoy every second. And Jesus says, I can't stand the Niners. Okay, we're all in agreement here. But let me ask you that. Do you see that 49er schedule? Am I projecting too much here? Tough road game with Seattle. Then you play the Saints, and then you got to come back and play the Cardinals in week 3 with their age, and team's going to be real physical with them. McDonald's kind of reconstituted in that Seahawks secondary, the Legion of Boom 2.0. I mean, It's not Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor back there, but it's a pretty significant simulation. So yeah. Michael Bowen, NBA championship finals are boring. Really? I really have enjoyed them. I think they're playing good basketball, as good a basketball as I've seen the NBA play. I think the problem for the NBA, and I know Colin talks about there's no stars and all that kind of stuff. It's not small markets. There's no stars. If the NBA set upon trying to educate, did seminars. Well, if anybody in the NBA knows what basketball is anymore, right? Send Rick Carlisle and Thibodeau on a speaking tour and let them do seminars and tell the world what basketball should look like, and then ban ESPN from showing any highlights that only include slam dunks, 3-point shots, and block shots, right? If the public can be educated on what good basketball is, because there's been a basketball wasteland in terms of educating the people of seeing, they think basketball is what they've seen on ESPN, and basketball is beautiful when it's played right. That's why in many ways, sometimes the college game for the women is the best. And if you saw Caitlin Clark over this weekend, there's your star. I mean, she was incredible. Jesus, bang, bang, choke job, gang. Okay. Yeah. I don't even want to give the 49ers a chance, right? I don't even want them going to the playoffs. Winers are bankrupt. Winers are overhyped, Jesus. Steve Rennes. I would think the 49ers would start strong, then pull a 76 and drop off big late as the aging takes effect. That was my thinking, Steve, and I would agree with you 100%. But that's a tough game to open in Seattle. And the Cards and the Seahawks, they're physical teams right now. They're physical team. Now, I think the Cardinals have got a problem with age going forward. And so their best shot is early, right, in round 3 before it gets to round 15. But I hear what you're saying. Michael Negretti, Willie, why are the NBA Finals boring? Don't tell me you're a LeBron fan. Uh-oh, we're going to start fights here now. Okay, guys, let's keep rolling here. We're at the 30-minute mark. Might not go much further. Want to get this in. Let's see. I think we got right here in former Rams.
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Former Ram running back Cam Akers signs with New Orleans. I think it's a great move for New Orleans, and I don't understand why New Orleans is not trying to move him, or at least I haven't heard anything, and I don't understand why Alvin Kamara isn't saying, get me out of here. They need to be in a sell-off in New Orleans. Now, personally, I don't care. New Orleans can rot and lie stinking in the earth as far as I'm concerned. I hate the Saints, right? But why wouldn't you start moving off some of that talent? Move Chris Olave. Move especially Alvin Kamara, right? Move off these guys and get some chips back in your thing for next year's draft. And please, you're not going to go anywhere this year with your quarterbacks in there. Tyler Shugg, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, help me, right? Sign Nathan Peterman for all it's worth. So good signing. Cam Akers, though, give him credit. I don't know what it was between him and the Rams. He had some attitude, whatever. But coming back from 2 Achilles and still playing, he's got a bit of the Terry Allen in him. Anyone remember Terry Allen? He floated around the NFL from the 80s through the 90s. Had a really good career, but he was a guy that had major injuries in both knees. And so I give Cam Akers credit that he just keeps trucking. He keeps playing. All right, more questions came in. What? I hate LaFraud James. Okay, Jesus. Byron Young is going to have a hell of a year. There you go. Jesus, were you with me on, was it Friday? And, I was talking about the Josiah Stewart interview. If there's a reason I think that the Rams could move off Byron Young, it could be because of Josiah Stewart. When Byron Young's second contract comes due, he's going to be 29. And would the Rams, if Josiah Stewart develops, like right now, it's great for the next 2 years. I love Byron Young, right? 17 sacks in 2 years for a third-round pick. What was it, 77 overall? I love Byron Young. I love his story, but I'm curious, are the Rams going to be able to keep him? Because at that same point, Kobe Turner is going to be due, right? And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But, yeah, you can come here and preach the gospel of Byron Young anytime you want. Mike Nelson, thank you, Mike, for joining us. If you haven't been with us before, please subscribe. Be sure to hit share. Be sure to hit like. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Winers, if McCaffrey, big if, will be between 7-10, 9-8, even with the cupcake schedule. I truly believe that cupcake schedule might not be the cupcake that everyone thinks it's going to be. Attrition, as Steve Ramirez has mentioned, with age and everything, that's going to be an issue for the 49ers. And the NFC West, that's 6 games against the NFC West. That's not Chumpville, right? That's serious competition. And then you got, now we want them to suffer. We don't want them to play well. But then you've got, they got to play the Buccaneers, but they got to play the Falcons. We don't want the Falcons to play well. You got the Texans. Those are 3 teams right there that you got the Bears, who everyone expects to be better. The Colts issue is they just don't have a quarterback right now, but that's a good team. I don't think it's a cupcake schedule as everyone's making it out to be. I think basically a lot of people are going off received knowledge, and they're not really doing the look-see to say, hey, man, everyone's just talking neck. It's like the people that keep talking about how bad the Rams cornerback room is. It's like, have you really looked at it, right? Have you really looked at it? All right, let's keep moving. Jesus 50, Byron Young would be playing for his livelihood. I agree. His window is short. He's got to make noise. I hope he makes it really difficult for the Rams. I hope he does. One thing Byron's got to do, just a reminder, remember the Jordan Love play that ended up in a pick 6 for Jalen McCullough? He didn't wrap up on that play. Remember, he gave the hit, and then McCullough threw the pick. But he needs to wrap up. I hope Byron Young has a great year. Willie Bowen, is Jalen Ramsey still considering coming back to the LA Rams? I think we talked about it on Friday, and I think other people are bringing it up, rightly so. It's no big scoop on my end or on our end at all. It's just basically I think the Rams are in no rush. Rams want Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey wants to come back, but the Rams aren't in any rush. The longer this plays out, the worse it is for the Dolphins. And it's a real interesting thing. If the Rams, I would think, take more contract, they give up less compensation. If they take less contract and the Dolphins bite off a big chunk of that, Rams would give more compensation. And even with that said, why do the Rams have to hurry? Right now, Ramsey has been excused from mandatory minicamp because they're basically looking to go another direction. They also got problems with Jonnu Smith at tight end in Miami. So let this thing play out. Let this thing play out. And I'm not going to say you're get Jalen Ramsey for a song, but maybe you can get him for a sonnet, something a little bit cheaper. So yeah, Bill, the Rams are starting left tackle situation is very cloudy. Could a move be coming? Did you pick us up at the top of the show, Bill? At the top of the show, I gave a list of 4 pending free agents in 2026 at left tackle that could the Rams possibly be willing to make a move on, because I don't think they've been extended at. My biggest long shot, because he plays on a good team, is Rashawn Slater. But I mentioned Braxton Jones of the Bears, depending on how the Bears season turns out, Bernhard Rainman from the Colts, and Colton Miller from the Raiders. And I was speculating for a rental, which is basically what Von Miller turned into. Would you, if Alaric Jackson is struggling, and I don't have a lot of faith in DJ Humphries playing more than 5 games, maybe he will, but I don't have a lot of faith that's going to happen. Would you give a 2nd rounder or a 3rd rounder for one of those pending free agents and then let them hit the market, but have an intact offensive line heading into postseason? So something to think about. Hey, Jesus, we need more linemen like Kevin Dotson. I hope Steve Availe can answer the call. I think Availe, he stays healthy. He's going to be just fine. I like the Rams' depth interior-wise. It's on those edges at the tackles that make me nervous. Mike Nelson, still thinking we have the inside track for Jalen as soon as the Dolphins release him. Absolutely. I'm with you there, Mr. Nelson. Jesus, Jordan Whittington or Tutu Atwell need to have a big year in order for the Rams to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, here you go on that. That's so funny, is that if you're going to give 10 rocks to Tutu Atwell to stay in Los Angeles, 10 rocks. Did anyone think anyone out, the other 31 teams in the NFL, would give 10 rocks 1 year guaranteed for Tutu Atwell? I'm trusting. My trust is that McVay said the offense needs to be more dynamic, which to me, your fastest guy needs to be on the field more. And Tutu Atwell has shown us his issue is not route running or catching the ball. It's being on the field. Maybe, he's not going to be a big time blocker. You wouldn't ask him to be. And he's a little light. But now, can you imagine? I think we talked about this on Friday. Can you imagine Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, almost interchangeable where you can line them up, Jordan Whittington, and then you run a Tutu Atwell out there, and maybe Lance Ferguson as a pass-catching tight end. You're going to bring a whole lot of heck on those defenses trying to cover that. So, yeah, I would expect something great for Tutu Atwell this year. And like we said, don't sell Jordan Whittington short. Tribe, thank you for joining us, Tribe. Tribe, I declared today an Emmanuel Forbes free zone because I've been talking so much trash about him the last week or so. And you're right. There is a lot of buzz on that former tack skin cornerback drafted in the first round. And if it trends, and you always, and I think you guys know this, when McVay drops names, you always have to listen. And he drops names, and he's been dropping Forbes' name a lot. A lot of people are dropping Forbes' names. Of course, we were doing it in January. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, he could be. And it made moving on from Darian Kendrick a little easier. You also got 3.4 rocks in savings with Darian Kendrick's departure. And Darian Kendrick himself might have saw the reading on the wall and the writing on the wall and just said, you know what, man, I need a shot. I need a shot to go somewhere. If he went to the Cardinals, he'd make the team. They need corners, right? They need corners. And there's a lot of other teams out there that need a corner. Now, is he great? No. Is he competent? Yeah. And we'll find out. We'll find out how much being out last year hurt him. All right, let's get this in real quick here. Yes, this made Rams history.
My man.
Former Rams starting center from the 2020 season. He was a nice pickup, played center and guard for the Rams 2019, 2020. Austin Blythe, who retired a few years ago. He is 33 today. So happy birthday to Austin Blythe. And on a more important note, Frank Corral. Frank Corral turns 70 today. The former UCLA kicker who played for the Rams for 4 seasons. One of the last guys to be a double-duty kicker in the NFL. 78, 79, he was a kicker. And then in 80 and 81, he kicked and he punted for the Rams. By 82, the Rams had gone to Misco as the punter and Mike Lansford as the kicker. Those were good moves by the Rams. And that was it for Frank Corral. But Frank Corral made a few big kicks, didn't he? Especially in his rookie game against the Eagles in 78. I think it was a 44-yarder to win the game. So happy birthday to Frank Corral, who turns 70 today. June 17th, tomorrow, we're not on the air. We do want to say happy birthday. I believe it's the late Charles Dejournay, World Football League. Rams got a lot of clicks out of that guy throughout the 80s. Played at San Jose State with Cody Jones, and he would be 73 if he was still with us. I think he did pass away. Former Ram D-back Craig Dahl turns 40, North Dakota State. Former Ram blocking tight end. Rams got 5 seasons out of him. I think he's a coach with the Bills now. Corey Harkey out of UCLA turns 35 tomorrow. And the big one that he passed away a number of years ago, Elroy Hirsch was born June 17th, 1923. He would be 102 if he was still with us, out of Wisconsin. And of course, Elroy, Crazy Legs Hirsch. Really hard to figure, how his number wasn't protected, because Von Miller wore number 40. And I think I've seen it floating since Von Miller. Can somebody correct me on that? Crazy Legs Hirsch. Crazy Legs Hirsch, Tom Fears, Hall of Famer. Another receiver forgotten, but was the fastest man in the NFL for a while, Bob Boyd. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Bob Waterfield, Norm Van Brocklin. Bull elephant backfield of Tank Younger, Deacon Dan Towler, and Dick Horner, and 5 rookies along the offensive line. And the Rams won the NFL championship in 1951, game-winning touchdown pass from Van Brocklin to Fears. What an incredible – when the Rams get those offenses together, they have a way of getting them together just right, don't they? Pretty incredible there. All right, let's take a look at a few more questions before we wrap this puppy up. And get you guys out of here. Jesus, I would have 4 wide receivers at all times and have Jordan Whittington as my lead blocker. You know, I don't want to see Devontae Adams doing it. I hope they back off a little bit on Puka because he feels fragile, you know, because he plays so hard. But I'd agree, you know, you can't play wide receiver for the Rams if you don't block. You can't, right? So a lot of people are loving Jordan Whittington. All right, guys, we hit the 45-minute mark. I went longer than I thought I would. Thank you so much for joining us. Spread the word. And what a great show. Thanks for hanging with me. And we will see you on Wednesday. Check this out on Spotify and iHeart. Manana. God bless, guys. Go Pacers. Thank you, Tribe.